Welcome to the Deep Dive, Daily UPSC Current Affairs. It's April 25th, 2025, and this is Part 1. Now, if you're a regular listener, you might notice some topics feel familiar. That's good. Think of it as useful revision, building up that solid understanding for your UPSC preparation. Our aim today, as always, is to really dig into the key events from various news sources, pulling out what's most relevant for the exam.
Exactly. It's about connecting the dots.
We've got quite a range today: international relations, defense, environment science.
Yeah.
You name it. It really shows how interconnected everything is, which is a crucial perspective for UPSC. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. Always interesting to see the day's developments.
Okay, first up, the SAARC Visa Exemption Scheme, or SVES. The latest is India's decision regarding Pakistani nationals under this scheme.
Right, SVES.
Now, the scheme itself, it isn't new, is it? Been around since, what, 1992?
That's right, 92. It was set up to, make travel a bit easier within the SAARC region for certain people.
So who exactly falls under this?
It covers about, 24 categories. Things like dignitaries, judges from higher courts, parliamentarians, senior officials, even businessmen, journalists, sports persons, that sort of thing.
They get special travel documents.
Yeah, basically visa stickers issued by the member states, usually valid for a year, and they review how it's working regularly.
And just a quick refresher on SAARC itself.
Sure. Established December 8th, 1985, it's a regional organization, economic and political, for South Asia. Secretariat's in Kathmandu.
Member countries are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India.
Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. All 8. The main goal was always to speed up economic and social development through cooperation.
But India's latest move kind of highlights the ongoing challenges with that cooperation, doesn't it? Especially concerning Pakistan.
It certainly does. It underscores those persistent political tensions. It's a good reminder for UPSC aspirants about the complexities of international relations and regional security, even within established frameworks.
Okay, let's pivot to defense. INS Surat. There was a successful missile test recently.
Yes, a medium-range surface-to-air missile fired in the Arabian Sea. A significant test for the ship.
Tell us more about INS Surat itself. It sounds important.
Oh, absolutely. It's the fourth and final ship of the Project 15B class. These are stealth-guided missile destroyers, the Visakhapatnam class. They're considered some of the most sophisticated destroyers globally.
And there's a big Make in India angle here too, right?
A huge one, about 75% indigenous content, which is pretty impressive. It's designed by the Navy's own Warship Design Bureau and built by Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders in Mumbai, commissioned just this year, January 2025.
I heard it's India's first AI-enabled warship.
That's the headline feature, yes. It uses indigenously developed AI solutions to boost operational efficiency. Think faster data processing, better decision-making in complex situations.
Oh, yeah. And specs-wise?
It's a hefty ship. Displaces around 7,400 tons, 164 meters long. Armed with surface-to-air missiles, anti-ship missiles, torpedoes. Uses KOGAG propulsion, 4 gas turbines, giving it a speed over 30 knots.
So a major boost for India's naval power and tech capabilities. Definitely relevant for UPSC.
Without doubt. Defense preparedness, technological advancement, indigenous manufacturing, it ticks a lot of boxes.
Right. Moving on to an environmental concern. Chlorpyrifos. This is coming up at the COPs in Geneva soon.
Yes, the conferences of the parties for the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm conventions are meeting end of April, early May. They'll be discussing several hazardous chemicals, and chlorpyrifos is on that list.
What exactly is chlorpyrifos?
It's an organophosphate pesticide. The WHO classifies it as moderately hazardous. Now, here's the thing. It's banned in over 40 countries because of health concerns.
But still used in India.
Yes, currently approved for use on 18 different crops here. Despite links to neurotoxicity, reproductive problems, and even potential brain damage in unborn children, there are also concerns about ecosystem contamination.
So what are campaigners pushing for at the COPs?
Groups like Pan India want it listed under Annex 3 of the Rotterdam Convention. That would mean prior informed consent is needed for international trade. And under Annex A of the Stockholm Convention, which aims for a global ban, though maybe with some exemptions initially.
The main argument being
that safer alternatives are available. Plus, a 2022 report raised concerns about unauthorized, illegal use of chlorpyrifos and paraquat in India, which suggests regulation might be tricky.
Who regulates pesticides in India?
That's the Central Insecticides Board and Registration Committee, the CIBRC. It's under the Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, set up back in 1970. Its job is to ensure safe regulation, minimize risks to health and the environment.
Under which law?
The Insecticides Act of 1968 and the Insecticides Rules of 1971. They mandate centralized registration for pretty much everything: import, manufacture, sale, transport, use.
So this Chlorpyrifos issue touches on environmental regulation, public health, agriculture. Lots for UPSC aspirants to consider.
Absolutely. It's a complex balancing act.
Okay, let's shift to the legal side. The doctrine of prospective overruling. The Supreme Court had something to say about this recently.
Yes, the court emphasized that this doctrine shouldn't just be used routinely. It's meant for specific circumstances where it's really necessary.
Can you break down what the doctrine actually means?
Sure. Basically, when a court overrules a previous legal principle or interpretation, prospective overruling means the new interpretation applies only to future cases. It doesn't affect past actions or judgments made under the old rule.
So it protects people who relied on the old law.
Exactly. It ensures fairness and avoids penalizing people retroactively. It prevents legal chaos. This is different from a retrospective ruling, where the new interpretation applies backwards and forwards.
Is this an Indian invention?
It actually originated in American jurisprudence, but India and the UK adopted it. It deviates from the traditional Blackstonian view that courts only declare existing law, not make new law.
When did India adopt it?
The landmark case was I.C. Golaknath versus State of Punjab in 1967. That's when the Supreme Court explicitly recognized and applied it for the first time in India.
And the main purpose?
To avoid reopening lots of settled issues and prevent endless litigation. Actions taken before the new ruling remain valid. Subordinate courts have to follow the new rule, but only for future cases. The Supreme Court can even set a specific date for when the new rule takes effect.
Very important for understanding Indian polity, judicial evolution, and legal stability.
Definitely a key concept for UPSC.
Right. Now for something completely different, astrophysics. Indian scientists have found a new way to estimate helium in the sun.
Yes, researchers at the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, IIA, they've developed a novel method to get a more accurate estimate of helium abundance in the sun's photosphere, its visible surface.
Why is that difficult usually?
Because helium, strangely enough, doesn't show strong spectral lines in the visible light coming from the photosphere, so you can't just see it directly in the way you see other elements.
So how was it done before?
Indirectly. Scientists use data from the solar wind or the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, or they'd extrapolate from hotter stars or use helioseismology studying the sun's vibrations, but none of these were direct photospheric measurements, so precision was an issue.
And this new method, how does it work?
It's quite clever. They're not looking for helium directly. Instead, they look at the spectral lines of neutral magnesium, Mgi, and carbon, Ci, and also molecular lines MgH, CH, C0, which are observable in the photosphere.
How does it tell them about helium?
Well, the thinking is that the amount of helium present affects the amount of hydrogen available, and the amount of hydrogen, in turn, influences how easily these magnesium and carbon-based molecules form and how strong their spectral lines are.
Oh, okay, so they're inferring helium by looking at how it affects other things.
Precisely. They match the observed abundances of magnesium and carbon atoms and molecules against models with different helium to hydrogen ratios. They found the best agreement occurred at a ratio of about 0.1 helium to hydrogen.
Interesting. And helium itself discovered during a solar eclipse, wasn't it?
Yes, 1868, Janssen and Lockyer independently observed a yellow spectral line. Lockyer named it helium after Helios, the Greek word for sun. It's a noble gas, very stable.
Where do we find helium on Earth?
Largest reserves are in the U.S., Algeria, Russia. Interestingly, India has a significant reservoir too, in the Rajmahal volcanic basin in Jharkhand.
This research highlights India's growing strength in astrophysics. Another point for science and tech in UPSC.
For sure, it's cutting-edge solar science.
Okay, back to maritime matters. Next generation offshore patrol vessels, NGOPVs. There was a keel-laying ceremony.
That's right, for the fourth NGOPV, Yard 3040, being built by GRSE Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers in Kolkata.
What are these NGOPVs designed for?
They're multi-role vessels, around 3,000 tons displacement, designed for coastal defense, surveillance, search and rescue, protecting offshore assets like oil rigs, and anti-piracy duties, mainly within India's exclusive economic zone, but also beyond.
So quite versatile.
Very. They'll have modern sensors and weapons, enhancing maritime domain awareness and capability in low-intensity maritime conflicts.
And this is part of a larger project.
Yes. A contract was signed in March 2023 for 11 of these vessels, all indigenously designed and developed. Goa Shipyard Limited, GSL, is the lead shipyard, building 7, and GRSE is building the other 4.
Fits right into Measles-Rubella and Make in India.
Exactly. It's about building our own capabilities for maritime security and easy patrols. Reinforces naval modernization efforts, key for UPSC defense and security sections.
Got it. Now let's talk public health. Measles-Rubella, there's a big elimination campaign.
Yes, the MR elimination campaign for 2025-26. The goal is ambitious, 100% immunization coverage with 2 doses of the MR vaccine for all eligible children.
Remind us about measles.
Highly contagious viral disease caused by the morbillivirus. It mainly affects young kids and can lead to serious complications, even death, especially if the child is malnourished or immunocompromised. Think blindness, encephalitis, severe diarrhea, pneumonia. Spreads easily through coughs and sneezes.
And rubella, often confused with measles.
Yes, sometimes called German measles. It's generally milder, caused by a different virus, the rubella virus. The main danger with rubella is during pregnancy. If a pregnant woman gets it, it can cause congenital rubella syndrome, or CRS, in the baby, leading to deafness, heart defects, intellectual disabilities.
So, similar rash, but different viruses and different primary risks.
Correct. The MR campaign aims to protect kids from both diseases and, crucially, prevent CRS. They use a combined live attenuated vaccine.
Weaken viruses to trigger immunity.
Exactly. A vital public health initiative, important for UPSC, social issues, and health governance topics.
Okay, next topic. The Nilgiri Tahr. There's been a recent population estimation.
Yes, the second annual synchronized estimation across Tamil Nadu and Kerala. They even expanded the survey area this year, adding 36 new blocks to the 140s surveyed last year.
And the Nilgiri Tahr itself, it's quite special, isn't it?
Very much so. It's an endangered mountain ungulate, a hoofed mammal endemic to the southern Western Ghats. You won't find it anywhere else in the world.
Also called Nilgiri ibex.
Or locally, Varayadu. It's the only mountain ungulate found in southern India, and it's actually the state animal of Tamil Nadu.
Where exactly does it live?
In a roughly 400-kilometer stretch of the Western Ghats in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Prefers open montane grasslands, typically between 1,200 and 2,600 meters elevation, often near Shola forest patches. Varavikulum National Park in Kerala has the highest density.
What does it look like?
They're stocky goat-like animals, short fur, a bristly mane. Males are larger and get darker as they mature, developing a distinct light gray patch on their backs, hence the name saddlebacks. Both sexes have curved horns, bigger on the males.
And their conservation status.
Endangered on the IUCN Red List and listed under Schedule 1 of India's Wildlife Protection Act 1972. That's the highest level of protection.
So endemic, endangered state animal highlights biodiversity and conservation efforts. Key for UPSC environment.
Precisely. A flagship species for the southern Western Ghats ecosystem.
Almost there. Penultimate topic.
Hey.
A breakthrough in gene therapy for hemophilia in India.
Yes, this is really significant news. Brickenstem in Bengaluru and CMC Vellore have successfully conducted India's first ever in-human gene therapy trial for hemophilia.
Let's unpack gene therapy first. What is it fundamentally?
It's a biomedical technique where you modify or replace faulty genes to treat or prevent a disease. The core idea is to introduce a functional gene to compensate for one that's mutated or missing.
How is that done?
Different approaches. You might replace the mutated gene with a healthy copy, or inactivated gene that's malfunctioning, or even introduce a completely new gene to help fight the disease.
Right.
It targets the root genetic cause, unlike most medicines that just manage symptoms.
And hemophilia is a good candidate.
Yes, because it's a classic genetic disorder. It's a rare bleeding disorder where blood doesn't clot properly due to mutations in genes that code for clotting proteins. Factor VIII for hemophilia A, factor IXX for hemophilia B. These genes are on the X chromosome, so males are affected more often.
How prevalent is it?
Affects about 1 in 10,000 people globally. India has a significant number of patients.
And this trial involved brick and stem.
Right. That's part of the Biotechnology Research and Innovation Council. They focus on translational research, and this gene therapy work is a prime example. They essentially delivered a functional copy of the faulty clotting factor gene in this trial. It was likely for factor IX, hemophilia B, to the patient's liver cells, enabling their body to produce the missing factor.
A potential game changer for treatment. Huge implications for biotech and healthcare in India.
Absolutely. A major step forward, relevant for S&T and health policy in UPSC.
Okay, our final topic for part 1 takes us to geography and geology. The Sea of Marmara. There was an earthquake there recently.
Yes, a 6.2 magnitude earthquake struck with its epicenter in the Sea of Marmara, impacting Istanbul and surrounding areas.
Tell us about the Sea of Marmara itself.
It's a small inland sea located entirely within Turkey. It actually separates the European and Asian parts of Turkey. Area-wise, it's about 11,350 square kilometers.
It connects.
It connects the Black Sea to the northeast via the Bosphorus Strait and the Aegean Sea, part of the Mediterranean, to the southwest via the Dardanelles Strait. It's a critical waterway.
Does that mixing of waters affect it?
Yes, it creates a distinct salinity gradient. Colder, less salty water from the Black Sea flows in near the surface, while warmer, saltier Mediterranean water flows in deeper down.
And the earthquake risk.
Very high. The notorious North Anatolian fault line runs right beneath the Sea of Marmara. It's been responsible for several massive earthquakes historically. This recent quake is another reminder of that risk.
Any major islands or cities?
Marmara Island itself is the largest, lots of smaller ones like the Prince Islands. Major cities like Istanbul, Izmit, Bursa line its coasts.
So geography, tectonics, strategic location connects to several UPSC themes.
Definitely. Geopolitics of Turkey, disaster management, physical geography, it's all relevant.
Right, that wraps up our topics for this first part of the deep dive. We've covered quite a bit of ground, from regional schemes and defense tech to environmental issues, legal doctrines, scientific breakthroughs, health campaigns, conservation, and geography.
A real cross-section of current affairs relevant for UPSC. As you revise, really think about those connections, the underlying trends, and the implications for India.
So that was the deep dive. Daily UPSC Current Affairs for April 25th, 2025, Part 1. As you process all this, maybe consider, looking at all these events together, what bigger challenges or emerging trends do you see for India and, well, the wider world? Something to think about.
Food for thought, definitely.
And if you found this discussion useful for your preparation, please do like and subscribe to The Deep Dive. We'll be back with Part 2 soon.